Welcome to the Armory of Arda, where every sword has a saga and every dagger tells a tale.
I'll take swords for 400.
It's actually not sword.
Today we'll be exploring weapons that are not merely tools of war, but bearers of history, both dark and light. Join me as we dive into the legendary swords of Middle-earth. Like previous videos, this isn't a top 10. I'm not ranking the weapons. Instead, we'll discuss their creation, their heroic and sometimes evil deeds, and finally, their last known resting place. We will start with something small but significant. The Morgul Blade, a sinister weapon from the dark lands of Mordor. These knives are not mere tools of war, but instruments of fear and corruption wielded by the Nazgul. The blades are imbued with a malevolent essence, designed to break the will of their victims and tether them to Sauron's dominion, making their wounds not just physical, but a gateway to spiritual enslavement. Can you imagine for a second how terrifying it would be to start phasing out of the physical world into a ghost of sorts? The film is spot on and details the speed and horror of Frodo's phase into the unseen. Thankfully, he reaches Elrond in time to heal him. Shameless plug, I cover Elrond's Ring of Power, which grants like plus 100 to healing, in another video that I'll link below. We move to Ringil, the sword of Fingolfin, the High King of the Noldor. Ringil gleams with a brilliance unmatched in the histories of Middle-earth. This legendary blade, whose name means cold star in Quenya, is as chilling and bright as the starlight under which it was forged. Ringil is not merely a weapon, it is a testament to the valor and skill of the elven kind, a light of radiance against the encroaching shadow of Morgoth. Fingolfin wielded Ringil in one of the most epic and desperate duels in all the ages of Middle-earth. In a moment of unmatched bravery, or perhaps profound despair, Fingolfin rode alone to the gates of Angband to challenge Morgoth himself. The clash between Elf Lord and Dark Lord is a scene of such incredible intensity. It resonates through the ages as a symbol of the fight against overwhelming darkness. Ringil, in Fingolfin's hands, bit deep into Morgoth, wounding the Dark Lord 7 times and leaving scars that would never heal. The sword's legacy is thus linked to this act of unparalleled heroism, reflecting the light of the stars against the deepest night. After the duel, the fate of Ringil, like the fates of many such storied weapons, is lost. The sword's last known act was its use in the duel against Morgoth, and its whereabouts following Fingolfin's fall remain a matter of speculation and legend. Whether Ringil was taken by Morgoth or somehow preserved by the Valar or Elves is a tale not told in the texts. Nonetheless, Ringil's legacy endures, symbolizing the courage that characterizes the Eldar. Let us now jump to a sword we've seen in the films, Herugrim, the sword of King Theoden of Rohan. Unlike the ancient mythical blades of the First and Second Ages, Herugrim's tale is deeply rooted in the struggles and triumphs of the Third Age during the War of the Ring. This sword, with its gleaming silver blade and golden handle, symbolizes the might and resilience of Rohan's people. Theoden, under the malevolent influence of Saruman, had Herugrim taken from him, and it was left to gather dust among his possessions. However, with Gandalf's intervention, Theoden is reawakened both in spirit and in leadership. Herugrim's most notable moment comes at the Battle of Pelennor Fields, where Theoden wields it with devastating effect against the forces of Mordor. In this climactic battle, the sword is not just a weapon, but a beacon of hope for the men of Rohan, inspiring them to fight with unmatched bravery against overwhelming odds. It is in Theoden's hand that Herugrim finds its true purpose, cutting down the armies of Sauron. Following Theoden's death at the hands of the Witch King, the fate of Herugrim aligns with the traditions of honoring fallen warriors. Thus, Herugrim's final resting place is with its owner in the tombs of the kings of Rohan, serving as a lasting reminder of Theoden's valor and the enduring spirit of the Rohirrim. Okay, sticking with weapons we know from the films, we have Glamdring. Also known as the Foe Hammer, this is a sword that makes even the most illustrious of warriors nod in respect. This isn't just any piece of finely crafted elven steel. It's the equivalent of walking into battle with a piece of history at your side. Originally belonging to Torgon, the king of Gondolin, Glamdring vanished for thousands of years after the fall of this hidden city, only to casually reappear in a troll's horde. Gandalf stumbles upon Glamdring by accident, or by fate, as things often happen in Tolkien's world, and makes it his weapon of choice. And let's be real, if you're going to wander Middle-earth battling Dark Lords, Balrogs, and dragons, you might as well do it with a blade that warns you of impending danger. It's the Middle-earth equivalent of a car alarm, but infinitely more useful in a fight. Glamdring has continued relevance through the ages, from the fall of Gondolin to the Battle of the Five Armies, and its pivotal role in the hands of Gandalf through the War of the Ring underscores a central motif in Tolkien's work. That light, quite literally in this case, will shine even in the darkest of times. And let's be clear here, Gandalf wasn't human. He was a Maya, a divine being, standing as one of the most powerful beings in Middle-earth during his journey. If he decides on a weapon, then it must be worthy. And check out my video breaking down Gandalf if you want to learn more about his origins. I'll link it below. Now where Glamdring ends up is anyone's guess. Given Gandalf's departure from Middle-earth to the Undying Lands at the end of The Return of the King, along with Frodo, Bilbo, and others, it is conceivable that Glamdring might have accompanied him on his final journey. This would be fitting, considering Gandalf's role as protector of Middle-earth and his close association with the elves who crafted the sword. Taking Glamdring to the Undying Lands would symbolize the end of its service in Middle-earth and its return to the realm of its creators, aligning with the theme of the elves' departure and the passing of the magical and ancient into legend. On to the most renowned weapon in all of Hobbit lore. And keeping with our theme of glow-in-the-dark blades, we have the sword-like dagger, Sting. Guided by fate itself, Sting finds its way into Bilbo Baggins' hands during his adventures with Thorin and company. It's essentially the Swiss Army knife for hobbits facing a world much bigger and scarier than they are. Like Glamdring, Sting would glow blue in the presence of orcs, serving as both a warning system and a source of light in the gloomiest of places. Originally considered a mere sidearm for elves, Sting became a blade of great renown once Bilbo claims it from the troll. It's a theme Tolkien loved to explore, the greatness found in the smallest of things, and the unexpected heroes that arise from humble beginnings. For Bilbo, Frodo, and Sam, Sting is more than a weapon. It's a symbol of courage, a reminder that they have a role to play in the vast, epic saga unfolding around them. It has fended off countless orcs, spiders, and even wounded the ancient nightmare that is Shelob, emphasizing Tolkien's belief in the potential for greatness within all, regardless of stature. The accepted conclusion to Sting's journey is that it rests in the Shire, symbolizing the protection it served the hobbits. But what do you think? Did Sam take it with him on his final journey to the Undying Lands? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Our next sword serves as a bridge between dwarves and elves. Its nickname exudes a very simple but powerful message. Orcrist, the Goblin Cleaver. The sword made famous by Thorin Oakenshield during the events of The Hobbit. Orcrist was forged in the hidden city of Gondolin by the elves and became a bane to all creatures throughout the ages. When wielded by Thorin, Orcrist found a new chapter in its storied existence, earning respect and fear in equal measure from those it faced in battle. Like all the weapons we've discussed so far, the sword's very presence alongside Thorin served as a beacon of hope to his company and a dire warning to his enemies, glowing with the same powers imbued upon Glamdring and Sting by their elven creators. Orcrist found its final resting place in a position of honor and remembrance, laid upon the tomb of Thorin Oakenshield beneath the lonely mountain Erebor. After Thorin's tragic death in the Battle of the Five Armies, his comrades chose to place Orcrist upon his chest, symbolizing not only the king's valor, but also the deep bond between the dwarves and elves from whom the sword originated. Okay, time for a darker story. We have Anglachel, a sword with a lineage as wicked as the tales that surround it. Anglachel is a blade of singular origin. Forged from a meteorite by the dark elf Eol, Anglachel is one of the two famed swords made from this heavenly iron, the other being Anguirel, which we will discuss later in the video. Given to Thingol, king of Doriath, as a begrudging gift, Anglachel bore the unique distinction of being a sentient weapon, imbued with a spirit of its own. This sword's journey is as important as the heroes who wield it. Initially, Anglachel is wielded by Beleg Strongbow, the king's chief officer and a close friend to Turambar, serving as a loyal and formidable weapon in the quest to aid and protect Turin. However, its story takes a tragic turn when, in a twist of fate, Turin accidentally kills Beleg with Anglachel during a rescue attempt gone awry. Due to the blood on his hands and sword, Turin reforges Anglachel into Gurthang, now known as the Iron of Death and notable for its black blade. The tale of Gurthang is interwoven with Turin's doomed fate. With this blade, Turin fought many battles and slew the first dragon Glaurung. However, the sword's most poignant moment comes at the end of Turin's troubled life. In his despair, Turin throws himself upon Gurthang, asking the sword if it will take his life. The sword responds, affirming it would end his misery. As Turin falls, the sword breaks under him, symbolizing the end of its journey alongside its master. Staying within the timeline of the First Age, we are going to look at the dagger, Orcrist. Crafted by Telkar of Nogrod, one of the most renowned dwarven smiths, Angrist possesses a sharpness so profound, it was said it could cut iron as if it were green wood. This knife finds its way into the hands of Beren, a mortal man engaged in a quest that seems as impossible as it is daring, to retrieve a Silmaril from the Iron Crown of Morgoth, the Dark Lord of the First Age. No big deal. The significance of Orcrist comes to the fore in the very heart of Angband, Morgoth's fortress. It is with this knife that Beren attempts to fulfill his oath by cutting a Silmaril from Morgoth's crown. While Orcrist successfully cuts free one of the jewels, it snaps when Beren attempts to take a second, hinting at the inherent peril of overreaching ambition. Following its failure, Orcrist shatters, and its pieces are lost in the depths of Angband, marking its end as sudden as its role in the history of Middle-earth. Okay, before we get to the star of the show, I mentioned earlier that the dark elf Eöl created two swords from the meteorite. The second was Anguirel, the lesser-known sibling to Anglachel. Anguirel is imbued with the same cold, gleaming essence that made its counterpart a weapon of both awe and dread. However, unlike Anglachel, which finds its way into the sagas of elves and men, Anguirel's journey is more obscure, shrouded in the dark tapestry of Eöl's own tragic story. Eöl, known as the Dark Elf for his solitary nature and mastery of shadow and metalwork, kept Anguirel for himself, making it his personal weapon. This sword, like its twin, possesses similar characteristics of sharpness, durability, and perhaps a latent, sinister will of its own. However, Anguirel's tale takes a twist when it is stolen by Eöl's son, Maeglin, as he flees from his father's domain to seek refuge in Gondolin with his mother. The narrative of Anguirel after this point becomes as lost as the city of Gondolin itself. It is presumed that Maeglin bore it during his time in the Hidden City, possibly wielding it in its defense during the catastrophic siege of Gondolin. Yet the fate of the sword following the fall of Gondolin and the death of Maeglin, who betrayed the city to Morgoth, remains untold. Unlike Anglachel, which was reforged and played a significant role in the tales of the First Age, Anguirel's story ends with its last known bearer, leaving its ultimate destiny to the imagination of readers. As we near the end of our journey, we've saved the most famous two for last. Narsil, the legendary sword of men. Like Angrist, Narsil was forged in the deep past by the dwarven smith Telkar. Narsil's very name combines elements of fire and white light in Quenya, speaking to its radiant majesty and fiery spirit. The sword's claim to fame comes from its role in severing the ring from Sauron's hand during the last alliance of elves and men. Here it is wielded by Elendil and his son Isildur, but like many famous weapons of Middle-earth, it had its dramatic downfall. The films show Sauron breaking the sword under his foot. However, Narsil actually shattered under Elendil as he fell. Sauron lay wounded by the onslaught of Elendil and High King Gil-galad, so Isildur took the shards of Narsil and stole the ring to avenge his father, destroying Sauron's physical body. This could have been a tragic end for the legendary sword, but in Tolkien's world, broken things have a way of coming back stronger. The shards of Narsil were carefully preserved as a beacon of future hope, to be reforged when the king has returned. And as we all know, the king did return. It says so right here. This reforged blade would be named Anduril, Flame of the West, striking fear into Sauron's very essence. This is the sword that caused his past defeat, and he was terrified. The reforging of Anduril in Rivendell signifies Aragorn's acceptance of his heritage and his destiny as the heir of Isildur. The sword's very name and its bearing by Aragorn signify the reawakening of the noblest qualities of the Dunedain and their covenant with the peoples of Middle-earth to combat darkness. With runes declaring its name and lineage, Anduril shines with a light that is a beacon to allies and a terror to foes. After the defeat of Sauron and the restoration of the kingdom, Anduril remains with Aragorn, now King Elessar, as a symbol of his rightful rule and the enduring guardianship of the king over the realms of men. The beauty of Anduril is that it is linked to all three races. It was forged by a dwarf, then reforged by an elf,
shards of Narsil,
and wielded by the kings of men. Tolkien does not explicitly detail the fate of Anduril after the death of Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings. Given the traditions of Middle-earth and the significance of Anduril as a symbol of the kingship of Gondor and Arnor, it is plausible to speculate that the sword might have been buried with Aragorn, where the kings and stewards of Gondor were entombed. It is also possible the sword was passed down to his heir, Eldarion, after his death. Either way works for me. Alright folks, our time is up and the ship has come to dock in the Undying Lands. If you've enjoyed this story, I can grant you free travel every week to 10 days. All you have to do is subscribe. My sincerest thank you.